Now at 11, the city of Vancouver, Canada, and its people in shock following a deadly attack at a cultural festival.
Families gathered to celebrate, and in an instant, their world was shattered.
And in Washington state, lawmakers pass a budget with spending cuts and new taxes.
And we're not making progress at the rate that we need to be doing.
And hundreds gather at Oaks Park to spread not just autism awareness, but acceptance and celebration.
No one looking at us funny. While we're out here, my son's just being my son.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. We have tragic new details in a deadly overnight shooting incident in Gresham. We now know the person killed was a 13-year-old teen. Gresham police were called just after 1:30 this morning to an apartment complex on Southwest 11th near Highland Drive. Investigators say someone fired shots inside an apartment that went through the neighboring walls and hit the teen and another person. Both were taken to the hospital. The teen died of his injuries. The other victim remains hospitalized, but they're expected to survive. Anyone with information is asked to contact Gresham Police. Tonight, the Canadian city of Vancouver is still reeling from last night's attack at a cultural festival. An SUV drove into a block party celebrating a Filipino holiday, killing 11 people and hurting dozens more. NBC's Dana Griffin is in Vancouver tonight, and a warning: some of the video you're about to see is disturbing.
Oh my God!
Tonight, the city of Vancouver in shock.
Oh my God! My God!
After hundreds attending this block party Saturday night celebrating Filipino heritage were mowed down by a driver in this black Audi SUV.
This is the darkest day in our city's history.
It happened just after 8 p.m. local time. Officials say the 30-year-old driver and Vancouver resident was arrested after witnesses intervened, holding him on scene until police arrived. According to police, that driver entered the festival area here on East 43rd Avenue. You can still see tents, food trucks, crime scene markers, and a ton of debris in the middle of the road from when that SUV came plowing through. Sheldon Nipshank returned to the festival soon after the crash.
I saw this lady. She was screaming, "I can't feel my legs, I can't feel my legs." And there are people around her trying to help her.
According to police, at least 11 are now dead, dozens more injured. No motive has been released, but authorities don't believe this was an act of terrorism, saying they have a history of interactions with the suspect related to mental health.
There are many unanswered questions about why this horrific crime happened.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney offering these words of solidarity.
To the Filipino-Canadian community and to everyone in the broader Lower Mainland, Vancouver, I would like to offer my deepest condolences.
A community in mourning and continuing to process an unimaginable tragedy.
Like all of you, I'm completely heartbroken. I'm shocked, and I'm angry.
Investigators say the suspect had a history of mental illness. Stay with KGW for the latest developments in Vancouver, Canada. You can also visit our website, kgw.com, our YouTube channel, or our free streaming app, KGW+. All right, turning now to weather. A little cloudy and cooler for our Sunday, but we still saw some peaks of sun out there as we wrapped up our weekend. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is joining us now. Joe, how are things looking heading into Monday morning?
It's going to be a nice start to the last week of April, really the last 3 days of April. Tomorrow morning, we'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies. Now, I say mostly cloudy skies, but John, there's still a chance to see some pockets of some drizzle and a few areas of sprinkles, but we're not going to be seeing any measurable amount of rain. Those clouds will start to melt away by the later part of the afternoon. I'm still expecting to see temperatures right around the low 60s, and you can kind of see on the satellite and radar right now dealing with some clouds on the west side of the state. Clear skies throughout Bend and Redmond, but you travel into eastern Oregon, we have been picking up a little bit of some showers earlier this afternoon. You could be seeing another round of some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon as well, but we are going to be looking at mainly dry conditions over the next couple of days, especially for tomorrow. So here we are, 6:30, 7 o'clock, overcast skies again, and those clouds will be kind of thick, but this model is showing a little bit of break in the clouds by the later part of the afternoon, and then late tomorrow night and early Tuesday morning, we'll start to see some showers roll through. through. But again, by, I'd say, late morning, early part of the afternoon, the threat of showers is out of the question. And then we'll go back up to something we have been seeing that's been very familiar so far this month of April. That's another round of sunny and warm conditions. The start of May looks pretty hot. I'll talk about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you later in the show. In Washington, new taxes and a rent increase cap could be on the way. Legislators saved their biggest votes for the last night of the legislative session. Drew Mickelson has the details of the budgets and bills now headed to the governor's desk.
All year, we've been waiting to see how the legislature was going to make up for the state's multi-billion-dollar deficit. In the end, they came to an agreement on a budget that would increase taxes and have cuts to state services. Almost everyone in the state will be impacted if Governor Bob Ferguson signs the bills into law.
Do you want this?
Under the final bills of the session, special education funding would be increased by more than $1 billion. Landlords would be prohibited from raising the rent more than 10% a year based on inflation. But funding for colleges and universities would be reduced, along with financial aid and child care subsidies from the state. The final budget calls for nearly $9 billion in new taxes, but no state employees would be furloughed. The state's rainy day savings account is untouched, and cities and counties would receive $100 million to hire more law enforcement. On the tax side, the gas tax would go up 6 cents starting in July. Most business owners would pay more, along with the state's top capital gains earners. And a new electric vehicle tax would be established. For now, only Tesla would be impacted.
Every time we raise a tax, we take money out of a consumer's pocket.
While Republicans felt the budget could be balanced without new taxes, the Democrats, who control the majority in the House and Senate, said the cuts went deep enough.
For special ed kids, there's a lot more that we have to do, and we're not making progress at the rate that we need to be doing. And this is not even talking about our civil commitment, our inpatient beds, our substance use disorder treatment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
In a written statement, Governor Bob Ferguson said he appreciated the legislature passing a budget that was less reliant on taxes than the original proposals from earlier in the year. But he says he will be reviewing all the budgets line by line before making any decisions on signing. He has 20 days from today.
One person is dead after a crash that shut down Highway 30 for several hours yesterday. Oregon State Police say it happened just before 2:30 yesterday afternoon near the Highway 47 junction in Clatskanie. At this point, investigators believe the driver of a Volkswagen, 48-year-old Darren McLeod, crossed into the opposing highway lane and hit a pickup head-on. McLeod was pronounced dead at the scene. The pickup driver had only minor injuries. And an update today in the trial of a man found guilty of deliberately killing a pedestrian with his car and trying to kill a witness. A judge sentenced Frederick Moore to 17.5 years in prison, the maximum allowed by law. Surveillance video shows Moore in June of 2022 waiting for a man to enter the crosswalk before hitting the gas. The crash killed 42-year-old Vincent Timothy. The video shows Moore taking off and then trying to run over a cyclist. Moore reportedly told officers he ran over Timothy on purpose.
It can be very isolating, and it's wonderful to see the community and to see people come out for the community and just enjoy themselves and know that they're not alone.
April is Autism Acceptance Month, and today the Autism Society of Oregon held their 23rd annual Autism Walk in Portland. More than 1,000 people came out to Oaks Park with the goal of raising awareness and acceptance of those with autism. Celine Stevens was there and spoke with several attendees who shared the importance of having a place for inclusivity and community.
Autism means that you do something that some people don't do.
Sunday morning, Oaks Amusement Park was flooded with families, but this time not for the rides, but for a half-mile walk, part of an event to celebrate those with autism.
It is a day of fun, and community resources. We have about 40 different community resource tables out here. It's also a way to meet other people in the community because it can be very isolating.
Toby Rates is the executive director of the Autism Society of Oregon, the organization that hosted the 23rd annual Autism Walk. She says over 2,000 people attended the event that was complete with fun.
Oh, I liked the Autism Walk where I got these glasses, this necklace.
Hi, I'm Dylan Tran. I like to be in the TV.
But also inclusive resources and options.
We have free noise-canceling headphones available. We have lots of fidgets. We have a sensory booth. We also have a quiet area.
Parents telling me they felt at ease surrounded by the supportive community.
No one looking at us funny. While we're out here, my son's just being my son.
So we're very engrossed in the autism community. And so this is one of our favorite events.
According to the CDC, about 1 in 31 children aged 8 years have autism spectrum disorder. This number growing from the rate of 1 in 150 in 2000. The rise has been attributed to improvements in detecting the disorder. However, U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s recent remarks suggest he believes otherwise.
This is a preventable disease. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. These are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball.
Parents I spoke with say differently.
I myself had a child who is non-speaking, who he can work, but he's going to need supports for the rest of his life. That doesn't make him any less human or any less valuable.
They have a place in real society and will be, paying taxes in the future with jobs.
There's a lot of misinformation going on with autism, especially coming from our federal government right now.
Families just asking for people to be aware, accepting, and kind.
Autism clearly doesn't have a look, so it's an invisible disability. So we want people, if you notice that somebody seems to be doing something a little different, jumping, hand flapping, to not stare, to not be judgmental. It's just to be accepting, look and move on.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Well, if you missed this event, there's a few more left you can attend. The next ones will be on May 24th in Salem, June 21st in Eugene, and then July 26th in LeGrand. And we've got a heads up for Max riders. Starting today, TriMet Crews will start construction work for 2 weeks along its blue line as part of its East Burnside Max Improvement Project. Crews will replace road crossings, wooden cross ties, and overhead lines that have been in use for decades. For the first week, expect shuttle buses between Gateway and the end of the line, which is Cleveland Avenue in Gresham. Then 1 week later, bus service will run from 172nd to Cleveland.